Wow, I am a juggernaut, a streaming juggernaut. I'm back, you guys. I'm back again. I've come back another time now. Yeah, no, I'm back. I told you, man, part 2 was coming. I wasn't making this up. I was going to do 11 o'clock. But logistics in my life have forced me to actually move up my planned broadcasting time. So we're doing it now, right now. Surprise. Okay. I'm here. Before we get started, we're gonna ease into it. I have some good news. I will say our friend Nigel down under in New Zealand. Nigel Von Toxic is his name, actually. Nigel went to the trouble of recording himself, telling us his terrifying testimony about when the original Danzig lineup came down under, the one time they have come to New Zealand to play a show in New Auckland, I believe it is. And he's provided us with some multimedia as well. And he's going to take us through it. So we're going to do that in a few moments. But, I have to do the thing that I always do. I got to share the stream, and I got to, make it. So I'm going to do that now and get this thing cooking. And then we can really begin. So what happened yesterday? A lot was going on. We had connectivity issues with our friend Nigel. The wind was blowing like crazy outside. It was raining. We were highlighting the band Dark Ride, Emilio's band Dark Ride, and all of a sudden, I get a notification on my phone telling me that there is a tornado watch, or that there's a tornado warning. Get in the basement. I was like, what? I live in New York. Okay. You guys know I live in New York. I'm right outside New York City. I never have had this issue living in New York, but for whatever reason, I guess maybe global warming or something, we are suddenly being told to get in the basement. So then my neighbor calls me. Then my wife is calling me. What's up, Oni? How you doing? Thanks for the pumpkin. Appreciate you. Then my wife is calling me, and my neighbor's like, hey, we're in the basement. And, I got 2 small children. So I'm like running upstairs. I'm like, all right, got to cut the show short. And meanwhile, I can't get Nigel on the line. I mean, like, we're trying. Nigel's doing the best that he can, as good as one can do, as good as one Nigel could do. And God, my nose hairs are tickling my face. I really need to get a beard trimmer of some sorts. I'm just not good with that manscaping stuff. It just doesn't work for me. I usually, facial hair is not my mode of choice. No, it was a bad. I don't know why I said that just now. Whatever. In any case, that was the situation. I'm stalling once again as I put up that I'm part 2 of streaming EVILIVE right now. Link in comments. There we go. There we go. It's coming. Do I sound like Mo from The Simpsons? Homer, you had too much to drink. Sorry if that's really bad. Sometimes I can nail an impression. Sometimes I cannot. Homer. That's probably really bad. I could do about like 5 seconds of Christopher Walken before just totally it goes off the rails. Two mice fall into a vat of cream. The first mouse, well, he drowns. But the second mouse, he kicks his little feet. No, see, it goes when I think about it. I can't think about it. I just have to do it. If I think about it too hard, then I don't get it. He turned that cream into butter, and he climbed out. Sometimes it works. I could do some Beatles. I could do some pretty good Beatles. Like I got the Scouse Liverpool accent down. That's how they kind of talk, little bit like this. Paul talks like this. Do Paul McCartney? Yes. And John Lennon, he talks more like this. Actually, that sounds more like George Harrison. And Ringo's more like this. He's kind of like an Eeyore. Sorry. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm just trying to get my ducks in a row. I promise. Give me one more second. Why is this being like this? Part 2 of streaming EVILIVE is happening right now. Why isn't it letting me? Why isn't it letting me? And then I said, I thought about an octopus. I said, hey, we can write a song about an octopus. You know, living in a garden in the shade. Part 2 of streaming EVILIVE happening right now. Link in comments. Yo, I did an hour and 10 minutes earlier today for my other thing, the Jeff Show. If you're a fan of Scream, hey, if you like Scream 3, check out the show I just did. I think you will really dig it a lot. Deep analysis about the Scream series. Deep analysis. The way that I do a deep dive about the Misfits, I got into it about Scream. So if you like Scream, check that out. I'm really happy with how that one came out. All right. That's up and running now. Good. All right. So the first thing we're going to look at real quick before we, this is something that I had on my computer and I totally forgot to take it out. And I was really annoyed that I didn't take it out. Oh my God. Is this guy really calling me? Let me see. For real? Whoa. I think maybe that was an accident. I just got a missed call from Monty Melnick from the Ramones, if you can believe it or not. I swear that just happened. That really just happened just now. That is crazy. Look at this. Look at this. I'm not making this up. That's nutso. Monty Melnick just called me. You know who Monty Melnick is? He's the guy. This is the guy from oh, that's the wrong one. Look at this. Huh, ain't that something? Where is it? Oh my God. Mess right now. Why isn't that coming up? Here, maybe if I put that in there. Nope, still can't see it. Stop. Try share screen. Boom. Look at that. Monty Melnick. How cool is that? Wow. I guess I'll have to call him back after the show. I guess I'll do that. All right. So we got this guy, Nigel. He's going to talk to us. But before we get there, let's talk about this exclusive interview with Devin Sawa. What is he talking about? Exclusive interview. So this is from Rue Morgue. This is from November 10th of this year, right? And Devin Sawa returns to horror and talks about working with John Travolta and Glenn Danzig. Could you imagine that combination? John Travolta and Glenn Danzig. Glenn, what do you want me to do? Sandy, and Glenn's like, hey, stand over there. No, John Travolta has it in his contract that he gets to keep every toupee that he uses on a movie set. So if John Travolta is wearing a toupee, he gets to keep it when it's done. And on top of it all, mother effing John Travolta has a chilled wig museum. Like, from every wig that John Travolta's ever worn in a movie is in a chilled room in his house. And he just takes turns putting them on. And John Travolta looks great. He looks great bald. He looks great in a wig. I mean, and that dude doesn't age. In any case, Devin talks about working with John Travolta and Glenn Danzig. Let's read, shall we? Devin Sawa returns to his roots with a starring role in the Canadian survivalist horror film Hunter x Hunter, as well as an appearance in Glenn Danzig's upcoming Death Rider in the House of Vampires. Yes! That's a thumbnail. Right there. That's a thumbnail. We featured Sawa featured in Rue Morgue 197. What a weird sentence. Now on stands and available in the shop. Excerpts of the interview follow. He talks about the horror as a kid. We're not even going to read that. Blah, blah, blah. Final Destination, Idle Hands. Do you think those films have aged well? We're not going to talk about that either. We're going to get to the good stuff. He's asking something about 1970s, Margaret Atwood, blah, 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 more yakety schmackety. 1, 2, 3. He says this. Oh, that's right. Because Devin Sawa acted opposite of John Travolta in The Fanatic, which was directed by Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit, if you can imagine. You can watch that on Amazon Prime, and I recommend people check that out because that's really, really, really silly. So there's that. And then he says, well, let's see. I really love The Fanatic, which kind of caught me by surprise. Tell me you got involved with that project and how it was to work on. I did another movie with John Travolta 2 years back, and he read the manuscript for The Fanatic, and I had to fight Fred Durst for the part. He wasn't feeling it at first. And I just decided to go down to the studio and put myself on tape. I think I must have done every scene for my character. It was like a 20-minute tape of just all the scenes, and I sent it to him, and he watched it, and that was it. He gave me the part. Travolta pushed for me a little bit because we had worked together, and I did it. It was a wild experience, and people love it, and people hate it. But at the end of the day, it was a lot of fun. John Travolta is like unlike. I mean, the acting is like Battlefield Earth level acting. And if you're a fan of Battlestar Earth, then you'll love this. Truly, The Fanatic. Check it out. Ready for this? I have to ask what it was like to work with Glenn Danzig on Death Rider in the House of Vampires. What a name. Death Rider in the House of Vampires. And you got to imagine that Glenn is going to do a theme song for Death Rider in the House of Vampires. Death Rider in the House of Vampires. Death Rider in the House of... And it's going to, the backing chorus is going to be like, oh, Death Rider in the House of Vampires. Whoa, just something like that. Holy SHIT. You're the first person I've had to answer about this, and it probably won't be the last. A lot of people are going to want to talk to Devin Sawa about his work with Glenn Danzig on Death Rider in the House of Vampires. Whoa. I haven't done anything since I worked on it, but I gotta see the film. Listen, Eli Roth came on, and he kind of talked me off a ledge a couple of times because it's like doing a movie for the biggest punk rocker in the history of punk rock. He's Glenn Danzig, and things aren't normal sometimes, I guess, in a good way. So we know just from the way that sentence is worded that things are it's going to be an unconventional movie, to say the least, which makes me very happy. But I bet you it will be better I think it will be better than Veronica. I think it will. Hopefully he learned from some of the mistakes he made while he was making Veronica, and we'll get something that's slightly more cohesive. Let's put it that way, cohesive. He says he goes, he's Glenn Danzig, and things aren't normal sometimes in, I guess, a good way, ? Because sometimes when something's unconventional, it can be really good. I don't know if Glenn Danzig making a movie falls into that category, but there are some cases where, like, if you don't do the same thing that everybody else does, you're going to end up doing something really unique and interesting. And so maybe we can look forward to some of that. Maybe it's a Western where everybody's a vampire. They were unconventional, that's for sure. But look, we'll see. Everybody had a great time. It was just very unconventional. Yeah, that's polite for a lot of things. Did you see Veronica? I hadn't seen it. I didn't even know about it. I did this movie in Winnipeg, and it was one of the greatest experiences I've had in a long time, was this movie in Winnipeg. I'm saying, oh my God, I spoke with artists and everybody was there to work. And then I get this script for the Glenn Danzig project. And I thought, Glenn Danzig doing a movie, this is going to be amazing. It'll be all music and this and that. And it's a movie about vampires, but it's a spaghetti Western. And maybe he says, and maybe it's just, I worked on SLC Punk, so maybe he sort of broke away from what he was saying and he had like a break in speaking and talks about SLC Punk instead and Idle Hands. And I thought maybe this might be just effing awesome. And so I just signed on, and a couple of weeks into it, I heard about Veronica. I hadn't seen it still, but it is what it is. But the nice thing is he had a great cast this time and a lot more budget. So we'll see. I think I'll see Veronica after I see Death Rider. I don't want to lose sleep at night for the next 60 days. Understandably so, Devin Sawa. Understandably so. Okay, so that's that. Before we begin with our friend Nigel, who's here digitally, actually I have to remove him and redo that because of the screen share. Please, if you could, it would be nice to, no, it's not going to let me do that. Okay. It would be nice for you to hit the subscribe button, like this video, leave a comment, yada, 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 that whole spiel. Very important for the algorithms and whatnot. We are streaming this live, as you already know that. Okay, so let's play. I haven't listened to this. Nigel literally FedExed this to me, via WeTransfer. So I'll be in the dark as you. Maybe I'll pause it and comment from time to time. But let's thank Nigel for his for going to such trouble to bring this to us. And with that, I give you Nigel Von Toxic from New Zealand.
I'm Nigel Von Toxic. Here's my Danzig story. When Danzig came to New Zealand in 1993, we tried to get my band on the show, but we were too punk rock according to the promoter. Didn't matter because we were going to see Danzig. The promoter gave us some passes even. It was cool. But the rumor was there was going to be a Misfits tribute show, and the rumor was Danzig was going to show up. Now, what gave gravity to this is that the guy that run the bar had actually stayed with Glenn some years earlier. And so there had been a connection to Danzig from New Zealand already. So the backstory goes like Misfits, Samhain were never huge in this country. Not until more recent years. But there was obviously, things that fucking, we were all about that, and the other people just didn't get it. The first person that went and stayed.
So he says right off the bat, which I find interesting, he's saying that, Misfits and Samhain and stuff are not very big down there in New Zealand. And I would imagine so, especially in 1993. I mean, you're literally on the other end of the world. It's very hard. It's a pre-internet age. It's very hard to get, media down there, imported, I'd imagine. It costs a great deal of money. So to have it, like the other guy that was saying when we spoke to him from New Zealand, there's definitely something there's something to be said about that, I think. What's this? Okay. We'll take a look at that later. Yeah, let's keep rolling.
Glenn Danzig's was the singer of this band, Flesh Device. Gerald Dwyer. Dead now, but he went and stayed. He was an original member of the Fiend Club. He went and stayed.
Wow. So even back then, according to Nigel here, even back then, you had Fiend Club members down in New Zealand. That blows my mind. Could you imagine? And this is 1993. The new Misfits have not started up. Misfits 95 have not started up yet. So what we're seeing right now is, or what when he says an original Fiend Club member, he's referring to someone from 83 or whatever, which is 10 years ago, which would also mean that, you know, to receive stuff from Glenn. Glenn was shipping stuff to New Zealand. That blows my mind.
At Glenn's, I believe in Lodi, and he picked his brain, you know, at
Let
the
me
Fiend Club
let me
now,
take this back.
but he went and stayed. He was an original member of the Fiend Club. He went and stayed at Glenn's, I believe in Lodi, and he picked his brain, you know, and came back, um, and not only propelled his band Flesh Device into the biggest punk rock band in the country, but then he went on to manage some of our bigger metal and alternative acts.
All right, that is fast. This is illuminating to me. This is fascinating. So what Nigel's saying here, if Nigel's saying that not only was this guy from Flesh Device, not only, which is the biggest punk band in the country, not only did he um was he a part of the Fiend Club, but he also traveled to Lodi and stayed with Glenn at some point. So if he traveled to Lodi and he stayed with Glenn, that had to be before Danzig. So that's either during the Misfits or Samhain. Wow.
Until his untimely death. So that was the first connection. The second connection. Oh, by the way, when Gerald came back from Danzig's, he brought with him pink on white paper. Mummy, can I go out and kill tonight? Pussyhead artwork posters. They were like oversized, but not, you know, not. It's not a normal poster size. But he brought back a bunch of those that Glenn had given him, and he also brought back the "Why Be Something You're Not" show, and we all got that on video,
Wow.
and that kept us going. But
So so from this one guy, he brings Why Be Something You're Not, the show from the public access show from January. What's going on, Peter? How are you? We're back and we're in action. So he brings back the show from January of 1983 and spreads it to his friends. I mean, you're literally this is how this is how the stuff spreads pre-internet. It's fascinating.
Jeff Wright, I believe his name was the singer of Enigma, one of the early speed metal bands in Auckland. Auckland's the capital city. So, well, it's actually not, but it might as well be. Anyway, so this guy, Jeff, was a big Danzig fan, and he actually also went and stayed at Danzig's. And,
Wow.
you know, and so it was this guy, Jeff, who was running the bar where Hate Breeders, the Misfits tribute band, were playing.
Oh.
They had been running promotions all that week, okay? The Danzig show was going to be huge. It was at the Auckland Town Hall. You know, it was a big deal. And so you had, I mean, they even did a Danzig lookalike contest one night, you know, like on a Wednesday or something cheesy like that, and you'd win tickets, you know. And so
That's great.
anyway, come the Saturday, the night, the concert, the Danzig concert's on the Sunday. So come the Saturday, um, me and the bass player of my band at the time, um, we go to the Bob Bar, it's called, and we had already been kicked out of one bar that night, having a good time, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're behaving ourselves, and at some point, you know, in Auckland, all the bouncers are like islanders. They're all Samoan and Tongan, and so like basically everyone that's ever been in WWE, from The Rock to Roman Reigns and the Usos, these guys are their cousins. And I
Wow.
actually mean that, right? They're all related, and they're all fucking huge guys. So we're sitting there drinking, and these bouncers, they're like, "You're out," and so they're physically removing us from the building. Me and and the bass player from my band. So, we're trying to put up a fight. They get us to the door, and we're at the door. They've thrown us out. We stand back up. We're challenging them to the fight, and and it's on. It's about to go down. All hell will break loose, because we're like not missing a chance to meet Danzig,
Hell yeah.
but we're about to because we've been ejected. And right then, we hear an American voice from behind us. And he's like, "You want to pick on a little guy? You want to pick on a couple of small guys? Fuck with me, motherfucker." And, and I fucking knew it, man. I had like chills down my spine. It was fucking Glenn Danzig. And he had our fucking back.
Wow. This story, Nigel, I have to tell you, I'm upset that I can't have you on the show, but honestly, this is so much better in a weird kind of way. I like that because there's no like there's no pressure of talking in front of a live audience or anything. You and me going back and forth with the latency. It's just you telling this incredible story. This is so what a crazy surreal experience. All right, sorry. I just had to interject that. Nigel, this is fantastic.
This was like, fuck yes. And right then, the promoter, seeing that the bouncers they were ready to go at Glenn as well. To them, he was just another fuckhead like the rest of us. So,
and you have to imagine, so Glenn is in a foreign country. He's down in New Zealand. He knows the guy. I guess he knows the guy who's running the bar that night, right? There's some, maybe, I guess he has Jesse James with him, right? His bouncer. I don't know if Nigel's going to mention that or not, or if this was live, I would ask Nigel if Jesse James was with him. I would imagine, since it was the first Danzig lineup, that Jesse James was with him. But there's additional bravado. There's like additional like gusto. I don't know. There's just Danzig energy going on. All right, sorry, continue.
It's about to be on between me, Samp, our bass player, and Danzig versus the Usos, sort of thing. Except not the little Usos, the the big full size ones. And so anyway, right at that moment, the promoter jumps in between. He's like, "No, you're working for this man.
Oh,
he's your boss."
Wow.
And Glenn's like, "And these motherfuckers are with me." Instantly had our back. He didn't know why we had been kicked out. He didn't know anything about what was going on. But he knew enough about what bouncers are like and what fucking bars are like. And, he fucking knew. But the one thing that was probably my saving grace, I believe, and I didn't know this till later on, because I'm going inside. Glenn's like, "Come sit down, we'll have a drink."
Wow.
And, and we sat down, and the band was right behind him. And so we sit down, and I'm at the end of the line. Glenn's next to me, then Erie, then John, then Chuck. So anyone wants to get to Glenn, they got to go past me. And, and I sat there for a few hours with Glenn talking, and I just kept saying to him, "If you want me to fuck off, He was like, "No, man, stay there, And so I did,
Wow. So you get just hanging out casually with Glenn Danzig, and it's like Glenn is traveling, right? So, he knows the guy at the bar, but he doesn't really know anybody. There's nobody he doesn't have to entertain people like Backstage. It's not like Backstage at a Danzig show in his hometown where he has his whole family there and he's trying to entertain them. It's just, he's in the farthest part of the world that he can be, just rubbing elbows with locals and just sort of being super chill about it. That's what a wonderful experience this is.
I'm like, fucking oath, I'm gonna, so we were drinking like, I believe Moet champagne was provided by the bar.
Which is what Glenn likes. Glenn likes drinking champagne. And that was also in the Tour Rider. Even in the year 2009, that Tour Rider, that 10-year-old Tour Rider, the same thing, that type of champagne is in there as well.
And all the drinks were provided by the bar, but we were drinking a New Zealand beer, Max Gold, and then of course we were drinking Glenn's old favorite, rum and coke. And
Interesting.
there was quite a lot of drinking going on. I don't
Interesting.
know if he was drinking as fast as me, but we were having a good time. And being in New Zealand, I didn't, I was like, what happened about the Misfits? Like not knowing that I should not ask that question at the time, right?
Right. This is 1993, where Glenn would be probably. I wonder what the height of that was when Glenn was just like super duper grumpy about the Misfits. Probably 1990 to 1993, right? That's when. Well, that's not true. There's that he's been hot. He was hostile in 1995. Yeah. Okay. All right. So maybe it was like height of the hostility. Let's see what the answer is. Let's see how Glenn reacted to this guy, Nigel, asking him about what the deal is with the Misfits.
There's no internet. So I'm like, what the fuck happened? And he understood that, so right. There's no internet. I was like, what happened about the Misfits?
All right. So just again, to remind us all, and again, please, if you haven't already, like this video, please subscribe to my channel. If you have not, be a good time to do so. Leave a comment on this, boost us up in the algorithm. Yeah, pre-internet time, man. He's innocently, naively asking what happened to the Misfits.
Like not knowing that I should not ask that question at the time, right? There's no internet. So I'm like, what the fuck happened? And he understood that, so he was quite happy to tell me, and and that was real cool. And he was just like, well, it sort of ran its course. And he said that he turned around one night and the guys were basically sitting on their amps or something like this. And at that point, he decided, that it was just going to have to be Samhain from now on, something like that.
So that's interesting how, again, who knows what Glenn said word for word. They're drinking. This also happened 27 years ago. Nigel's doing his best to remember. He's doing a hell of a job remembering. But in terms of paraphrasing what he remembers of Glenn saying, what's interesting is that what Nigel has carried with him throughout these 27 years, is that Glenn mentioned that Jerry, and again, this is pre-internet, I don't know if this information was up on Misfit Central. So he's hearing this information from Danzig himself saying, talking about Glenn and Jerry and Doyle sitting on the amps, which is what happened at the last show at Greystone Hall. I think it was 10:30. It's either 10:29:83 or 10:30:83. They ejected Brain Damage from the show, and Todd Swallows on the drums, and there was a lot of resentment. If you go back to that interview with Jerry Only, where Jerry Only is going on and on about the end of the Misfits in what was it, Ugly Things, that sprawling, gorgeous interview that we read through, and he's talking about the problem with the drummers and yada yada yada. And so Jerry and Doyle are stewing about ejecting the drummer, and Todd Swallow's playing, and they're not having any fun. They're sitting on their amps. Glenn sees they're sitting on their amps behind them. That clearly, whatever was going on between them, that stuck out in Glenn's mind that night. I wonder if that's what causes Glenn to ultimately say, because he says, this is our last show. He says, Happy Halloween. This is our last show. And I wonder if that's a direct reaction to Glenn turning around, seeing Jerry and Doyle sitting on their amps while they're playing at the final show, which lasted with him long enough that when he's in New Zealand talking to this dude about, the end of the Misfits, he brings it up in some capacity that we don't know and fully won't know.
From memory. But, I'll say he was more friendly than the rest of the band. Glenn was real friendly, but I was wearing a Samhain shirt, and he was like, I've got to ask you, where did you get that shirt? And
he's got the shirt. Let's see it.
It's a little grey now. but I believe there's a photo of me wearing it when it wasn't.
Yeah, look at that thing. Scarecrow shirt. Cool. Very cool.
Selwyn, Samhain.
Yep.
Well, Glenn wanted to know how I got this shirt because he had printed it himself. Well, I didn't know he had printed it himself till after, so I told him. I was seeing this.
Interesting. So he's kind of like Glenn's kind of testing him to see what he's going to say, knowing full well where that shirt comes from. And it's interesting too about, I think it's about the EVILIVE. Someone had like in one of the groups, maybe it was Keep on Danzig or something, or somebody at the Veronica premiere had there's video of it of Glenn taking a Glenn autographing an EVILIVE, and instantaneously after flipping the 7-inch, instantaneously being like, I know that this is a real EVILIVE. I know because I made these himself. And the reason what he's really talking about is the glue. He glued all the 7 inches together, and really not him, but also Robo. Put Robo to work. Robo, staying for free in my basement. Go glue these 7 inches now.
Chick, and she was sometimes a dominatrix, and she had lived all over the world, and she was living in America at one point in the 80s, and who was living
I'm
in
sorry.
America,
I
and
missed that. That's my fault.
seeing this chick, and she was sometimes a dominatrix, and
So he's talking about where he got the shirt from, in case anybody's losing their place here. He's talking about Glenn asked him where he got the shirt from, and this is his response.
well, I didn't know he had printed himself till after, so I told him. I was seeing this chick, and she was sometimes a dominatrix, and she had lived all over the world, and she was living in America at one point in the 80s, and her boyfriend was a fiend, and she stole it off. And then later back in New Zealand,
I thought
I'm
this was
like
going to be a
one
bootleg.
of 5 people in the country that even knew who Samhain were.
I bet.
Um,
Can you imagine that? Think about that. And wow, I mean, what a thing to be, again, to talk about the remoteness of a place like New Zealand. It's not remote in the sense of like, obviously it's connected to the world, but again, in a pre-internet age, to be into counterculture, underground shit stuff, this ish, like Misfits, Samhain, Danzig, especially probably the most obscure of the three bands is Samhain. So for him to be a Samhain fan in 1993 or 1992 or whenever he became a Samhain fan is quite remarkable. Yeah.
and she showed up, and I was like, oh my God. You know, as much as how stunning she was, but also how stunning the shirt was, I knew I had to make them both mine that night, and did. But this shirt, I believe, was my saving grace. Having Glenn wanted to know how a shirt he printed in '83 had ended up in.
So Glenn knew it wasn't bootleg. And obviously it wasn't, because we heard the lineage of how that shirt got to New Zealand. But Glenn was, wow. So Glenn is like blown away that this shirt has made it all the way to New Zealand. But why would he really be? If there was a fiend that guy from Flesh Device or whatever had come to stay at his house in Lodi, wouldn't it be out not without the realm of possibility that merch would make it back to New Zealand in that kind of capacity?
New Zealand in '93. So that's having Glenn wanted to know how a shirt he printed in '83 had ended up in New Zealand in '93. So the whole time we've got um, we've got the Hate Breeders playing, the New Zealand Misfits tribute band. And the thing about Hate Breeders is that they were actually really good, and but it just having the real thing there, having Danzig in the room, it just seemed a little bit wrong. It was just like, well, yeah, I mean, these guys, do a good job, but I mean, why would you watch a, like a play of a movie when the movie's right there? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or,
dude.
just there was something about it that made no sense. So there I am with Glenn.
Well, okay. He has another video where he shows. All right, I guess we can cut to this video real quick. So there he is with Glenn in the shirt where it's not. Oh, you can't see it. Oh man. All right, I'll show it afterwards. We'll show the pictures of Nigel with Glenn. I don't want to.
Wearing Samhain t-shirt. This is outside the bar.
What an awesome memory! What an awesome keepsake to have a photo like that with Glenn. That's cool, man.
Just after the show when everyone was getting ready to leave. You see that? Signed on the back by the band.
Nice.
And it's actually signed up the top by Glenn, but you can't see that.
Yeah, hard to
You're
see.
here with me. And as we established yesterday, I live in the future.
He does.
So it's a bit of a distance, about a day to get here. That's why we aren't going live right now.
Yeah.
We tried that yesterday and we found that being a day ahead of you guys here in New Zealand, we almost broke time itself. Nearly broke the internet, at least YouTube.
Nigel, we tried, buddy. You did a great job.
I digress.
Yeah.
I keep saying to Glenn, not all the time, but occasionally, this is wrong, Like, here's this band and they're just wrecking this,
I got to tell you, I got to tell you, Nigel, when the other guy, I was worried about what kind of story you were going to tell, and I'll tell you why. What worried me initially was that the gentleman who joined us last time, I forget his name. I'm so sorry. It was some interesting name that he had. A really nice fellow from New Zealand, but living in Australia. Really I thought he had told the whole story. I thought he had really sort of like, what else is there really to tell? I don't know. I mean, I wanted to hear if there was more to tell. I wanted to hear more, but I was kind of like, well, we kind of know all the particulars of the story. So what, I mean, I guess like, and you're kind of going over them with me right now, live from from Australia. Cause he was beaming in from Australia. Again, if you want to watch that episode with the other guy, after you finish this, go check out that episode with Steve Zing. Steve Zing joins us at the end for 42 minutes. My point is that I'm so glad that Nigel went to the trouble with this video, because Nigel is freaking, he's painting us this. I mean, he's telling the story. I mean, he's really telling us all the details, all these extra details that make it so interesting. It was so important to hear from Nigel about this story. That's all I wanted to say. I'm very glad that he did, in fact, come on and tell us the story. Okay, I'll shut up again. So he's saying that to remind you where we left off just now, he's saying that he's whispering to Glenn and saying, oh, it's, this feels wrong. This feels weird. It feels like watching a play when we have the movie right here, meaning Glenn sitting in the audience for a Misfits cover band. That's all.
I mean, they weren't wrecking it, but it just was like sacrilege. And, and there's this conveyor belt of people coming through, and it's all on, and all the girls are lining up, and I'm telling him what ones I've been with to stay away from, and he thinks I'm maybe a little funny. He starts calling me Bleeding Nigel, and that was the nickname he gave me. So the thing was that, I guess he thought, we'll let these guys play a while. And, my girlfriend comes through. She's the one who's the photo of her pointing. It looks like she's saying, let's go somewhere and you can fuck me. Where she's actually saying, what do you think of hate breeders? And anyway, about halfway through this set, Glenn finally looks to me and says, right, we're going to do it. I looked at him and I went, "We're gonna do it." He's like, "I'm doing it now. I want you to move all these people out the way so we can get to the stage and get these motherfuckers off, and we're gonna play."
Oh
And
my God. Oh my God. So Glenn sitting there watching a Misfits cover band and goes, all right, I'm ready. Get all these mother effers out of the way. I'm going to go and I'm going to play myself. And he's going to play Misfits songs with the band Danzig. He's going to clear them off the stage and they're going to play. What a sight. And, you know, Glenn's been knocking back a few, as Nigel says, drinking champagne and rum and cokes and stuff. So he's probably feeling, you know, a little bit more inhibited, uninhibited. Whoa, that was weird. Uninhibited. He's feeling more uninhibited. You know, he's in New Zealand. Maybe he feels like his rep is a little bit more, you know, like, oh, I can't do this because I don't want people to think that I'm gonna, you know, always play Misfit songs. But just because he's on the other side of the world, 24 hours away, in the future, you know, that he can do something like this.
it was done. So there was 19-year-old me. You know, anyone that wouldn't, because I mean, they say a small bar, but this bar, you know, it probably fit 300 people. You know, and there was that many people there, say. So, you know, I mean, it was a matter of parting the seas to get Danzig to the stage. So I now found myself as his security, I
Wow.
guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I'm trying to move people, and plenty of them I know, you know, and so they're like cool, and then others are turning around. I mean, people are dancing and shit. So like, you know, I'm pushing motherfuckers, and
Yeah.
people are turning around, maybe looking at having, you know, some sort of fucking violence.
You're
And then
dealing
you
with the
see
devil's
what's
business.
going on, and just
He's dealing with the devil's business right now.
fucking spread. We get to the stage, and I grab the microphone off and we stop the hate breeders. Dancing and shit. So like, you know, I tell them, you guys are done. Danzig's had enough. They're gonna show you how it's done. You know, so the Danzig guys jump up and they have, you know, a few pleasantries with, you know, with the guys in Hate Breeders, and they take their shitty gear, you know, and
Wait, I missed that part. Sorry.
Unbelievably.
Sorry, guys. Hold on.
They take their, you know, a few pleasant. I tell them, you guys are done.
Right. Okay.
Danzig's had enough.
Right.
They're gonna show you how it's done.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you're doing a Misfits cover band. It's like, here's the guy. He's going to show you how it's done. Wow. Okay. Thanks for the lesson.
You know, so the Danzig guys jump up and they have, you know, a few pleasantries with, you know, with the guys in Hate Breeders, and they take their shitty gear, you know, and unbelievably, something I never thought I'd ever see, being in New Zealand, you know, was, you know, there's the original Danzig playing Misfits songs,
Get out.
Samhain songs.
Get out.
In my old age, I don't even remember exactly what was played.
See, that's the big $64,000 question we were going to ask. What was played? So I'm going to say right off the bat, obviously we got London Dungeon, we got All Hell, we got Horror Biz. I mean, these three were in the set at the beginning of Danzig. So right off the bat, those songs were probably played. What Samhain, I don't know what Samhain songs were the first Danzig lineup. No. Wow. But those songs were probably played for sure.
It wasn't a lot of songs.
Right. So maybe it was those three songs.
And I'm
Who Killed Marilyn, maybe?
I'm tending to think, you know, sort of the songs they were playing in the
Halloween 2. They probably played Halloween 2.
early, you know, early Danzig days, like Horror Biz.
There you go.
Halloween 2, they definitely played because Glenn reached over and grabbed me, pulled me into the mic, do backups on that. I'll never forget that one.
You sang backups on Halloween 2 with Glenn Danzig and the first lineup of Danzig. What an honor.
You know, to walk the night, maybe, you know, like the things that you would expect, you know, if you know what they were playing around that time or slightly earlier, a couple years before. So this was amazing. We were like, oh wow, fuck, this is just mind blowing. You know, we're seeing this and it's amazing. And so they come off stage, and Glenn doesn't want the Hate Breeders to go back on after them.
Rightfully so.
He says to the promoter, I don't want them. He's like, I want Nefarious. That was the name of my band.
Oh,
Some may say
Nefarious.
Nefarious, but
Nefarious. We say
pronounce it Nefarious because we have no real.
I mean, that's the New Zealand way of pronouncing nefarious. That's cool. I get it. Tomato, tomato. English speaking brother from another mother down under.
Grasp of the English language here in Hell Island. Anyway, I want Nefarious to go on. Thing was, our drummer wasn't there. It was just me and our bass player. I sung, you know, so and played guitar, you know, and so there was a drummer from another great band there.
So that's interesting. So Glenn didn't want. I mean, that makes sense, but it's interesting. Glenn did not want the Misfits tribute to go back on after him. I mean, how could they? How could you follow up Glenn Danzig doing his songs? You know, it's like, don't damper the night.
Who was actually managed by the original guy, Gerald Dwight from Flesh Device. So we quickly went to get him because he knew some of our stuff. We were friends. So we went to get this guy, Hoodie Beast. And Hoodie Beast was fucking passed out down the back.
No.
He was completely devastated afterwards when he found out he had missed Danzig playing, you know, especially Samhain songs,
right?
Songs. That, you know, I mean, he was more of a fan of that than the Danzig stuff. So when he found out he had passed out and missed on that, and then the thing was that, you know, we had been offered $400 to do a 20-minute set.
Wow.
Danzig. And but he was passed out and couldn't play. So I go back to Danzig, who's with the promoter, and you know, I'm like, no, we can't do it. We've got no drummer. And then Glenn says, if I hadn't hurt my wrist the other day, I would have played drums.
And, you know, I want to believe that that's the truth, but I mean, I 100% believe that maybe Glenn would do that if he could do that. But like, who knows? Maybe he was just saying that as like he was gesturing to be like, because he's just being a sweetheart to this guy, Nigel. But I want to believe that is so true. And what a, because we know that Glenn, well, I mean, this is a post November coming fire Danzig. And as we know, the post November coming fire Danzig does know his way around a drum kit. It's not the Glenn Danzig Spook City USA Who Killed Marilyn drumming that is just, but this drumming is better. Wow. So he's offering to play drums, but he hurt his wrist. Very convenient, Glenn, that you hurt your wrist and can't actually play the drums.
And I'm like, yes, of course, right?
Of course.
And wouldn't that been fucking amazing? Right?
Of course, it would have been amazing. And you know what? Probably in the spirit of the night, he probably would have attempted to do that. From everything that I'm hearing.
I mean, but of course he didn't do it because he had hurt his wrist in Australia, I believe. So another reason for New Zealanders to dislike Australians is that we missed out on having Glenn on drums for a little bit of our show.
I didn't know there was a beef between Australians and New Zealanders. I guess maybe a rivalry, I would imagine, but not a beef.
You know, a 20-minute set. after a Danzig set in a little bar in New Zealand, where this could have only happened. You know, I mean,
He's right, man. This only could have happened in a little bar in New Zealand. It's the only place where this story makes sense.
uh, it's a very strange sort of situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you wouldn't have been able to pull it off anywhere else in the world, maybe.
Yeah, you're
You
right,
know,
Nigel. You're right.
because no one wanted to harass Danzig, and you know, like everyone there had love for them for traveling down here, and everyone was into Danzig, and you know, loving the band, and Misfits fans, Samhain fans, and so you know, it was just a really good vibe, and you know, and so like there's photos afterwards we were hanging out outside, and Glenn is waiting for this girl that he had been talking to that's you know gonna come stay at the hotel or whatever, and they you know like they walked back to the hotel from the bar.
Hmm.
You know, I mean that gives you an idea of how laid back it was. They walked
Right.
back to the hotel. Glenn said to me before he left, he said, you know, it's been a good night, man, and we'll see you tomorrow at the concert. You know, and
Right. That is the thing to remember. This is not the night of the Danzig show. The Danzig show is tomorrow night. This was just Glenn coming to hang out. He's in New Zealand. I mean, what else is there to do? You know, not that there's not nothing to do in New Zealand, but I'm just saying when you're that far away from home, and I'm sure that, you know, stuff closes down fairly early, as I've experienced when I travel, that, you know, when you're in places far, far off places, stuff shuts down. It's not 24/7 like, you know, major international cities. There are. We get Parmy Crypta says, "Long live horror story. Cheers, bro." Long live horror story. Huh. Hor- Oh, that's what's on oh, horror story. That's what's on his is that connected? What's horror? What do you mean by horror story? Because I noticed that on Nigel's shirt here. It says horror story. Okay. Anyway. Um freaking yeah, I'm sure stuff shuts down at earlier than maybe it would in like a major metropolitan city. Although maybe Auckland is a major metropolitan city and I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's keep going.
he said, "You've got passes, right?" I said, "Yeah, we've got passes to get in." He goes, "Okay, when you get there, don't wait in the line. Um, just come up and give them your passes." So, you know, we go to the show the next night, and there are a big line. You know, there's going to be like a few thousand people at least in this
So
place.
what Whoa,
Um,
oops. So
I
what am I
forget what the number was.
so I don't know what I'm talking about, man. There's a few I don't know. I don't know what the nightlife is over where Nigel lives.
But it was full as far as I could tell. And so we get there, and there's a message for me to.
Oh, okay. Horror Story, the best horror punk band from New Zealand, and that guy is a member. Great dude. Oh, Nigel, so you're in a band called Horse. Dude, I am so sorry I did not know that. Okay. Now, okay, cool. Peter says, I would love to hear a live recording of that show. Me too, Peter. Are you kidding? Both shows, both nights. That would be great. Okay, so horror. I don't. Okay, so that's New Zealand horror punk. All right, we'll take a look at that afterwards.
come be taken back to see Glenn backstage. So the promoter brings me backstage, and and Glenn gives me some passes, some after party passes,
Nice.
and and we shoot the shit a little bit about the show the night before, and he says to me then, if you know anyone, any of your friends, anyone you know that hasn't got a ticket for tonight, that for whatever reason couldn't get one, that they couldn't afford it or whatever, I want you to call them up and tell them to come down.
Wow.
And, we'll put their name on my guest list.
Wow.
And
See, that is that Lodi, New Jersey, Italian hospitality, man. That Jerry is so full of. That courses through Jerry's veins. There it is in Glenn in this moment when he's in. It takes going to New Zealand. No, that's not true. Glenn's like that in a lot of places. But that's something. What a generous offer, truly.
and I'm like, what? Because I mean, I've heard of bands doing something like that when maybe there's hardly anyone there and they want to bolster the audience. But I mean, this
Right.
place was, I mean, he must have known maybe there was room for 50, 60 more people or something. But anyway, I didn't live in Auckland City. I lived in New Plymouth. So, I mean, I'm at the box office desk using their phone, putting names on Danzig's
Oh my God.
guest list.
Oh my God.
Glenn's told me to do it. And I'm calling people, and they don't believe.
And as you know, when Danzig tells you to do something, you better do it. You want me to put all my friends on your guest list? Yes, Mr. Danzig. I'm going to do it right now.
Me. And I'm saying, come on down, your name's on the Glenn's guest list. Walk right past the line and straight up to the booth, and tell them your name's on the guest list. And most people didn't believe me. So only like a handful of people actually showed up and
Wow.
discovered it was real. You know,
Two things. One, Nigel must have been the man in his community. Everybody's like, you had juice with Danzig? You had the juice to get us into that Danzig show? And two, all the jabronis that were too dumb to believe what Nigel is telling them and probably ribbed and given ish for years afterwards. Oh, remember when you missed that Danzig show? Because you're a dumb.
and that'll teach people for not trusting me at my word. Anyway, so we watched an amazing concert. You're talking Danzig, Danzig one, Danzig two, Danzig. You've got up to the only thing they didn't have at that point was Danzig four because it's
Right. They had done Demon Sweat Thrall. They'd done How the Gods Kill. So this is Danzig at the height of Danzigdom because Mother 93 video, Mother is in the top 40. So this is Danzig at the height of his mainstream fame in the 90s.
the Thrall Demon Sweat tour. So that's a set list of just everything is a classic, right?
Yep.
And the show was just amazing, and it seemed in a show of solidarity, all the Nefarious fans were all wearing their Hellcore t-shirts, and I remember looking behind me to the balcony seats, and there was just a sea of them.
Wow.
And anyway, so after the show, once again, we've got the access all area passes, and we're waiting backstage, and we're looking for the alcohol, and it's like, where's the alcohol? And no one could find it. And then our bass player found it. It was in the rubbish bin, hidden in the rubbish.
Ah.
So we found the alcohol. We started drinking, and that's where I actually first met Martin Emmond, the artist Martin Emmond from New Zealand, known for his work with Verotic,
Oh, okay.
White Trash,
Okay.
and Glenn. After the show, he asked for me and Martin to be brought into their dressing room,
Mm.
and yeah, earlier I'd given them a copy of this, and come back in, and I believe it was John in the area, maybe Chuck, actually came up and sung a couple of the lines off the thing, and I was like, wow, they didn't chuck it in the rubbish. They actually
Wow.
listened to it.
That's cool.
But I won't tell you those lines because they may be construed as particularly disgusting.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sense.
Yeah, thank you.
A la mentors or something.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Appreciate that.
Glenn wanted to know what we thought of the show. He looked at artwork from Martin Emmond, which was fucking amazing. And I believe that's how Martin started working for Glenn. And then also Martin's good friend Simon Morse started working for Glenn. And anyway, after that, being hooked up with Martin and Simon would mean that we'd get all sorts of packages from Glenn. And, because we were using these guys for artwork, I was putting out CDs. So I had Martin Emmond do up this one.
Oh.
Simon Morse do up this one.
Mm-hmm.
And something that happened was we had printed rather large prints of this, and Glenn wanted one, and he wanted it signed by me and Simon, and I
Wow.
was like, oh my god, and
That's a great feeling.
I put my name on it, because what do you write to Danzig?
Right.
I mean, I was like, holy shit. So anyway, every Halloween he'd send a package through to Martin and Simon, and there would be a package in there for me.
Wow.
Bleeding Nigel Toxic. When I got my Samhain box set for free,
whoa,
instead of having the badge, it had one of these prototypes.
Oh, okay. So it's super shadowy. It's super shadowy, but it looks like some sort of it looks like either the How the Gods Kill sword, or maybe the one of the upside down crosses. I don't know. Let's see. Ah,
which was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the sword. Wow, he has the Danzig sword. The from How the Gods Kill.
He'd send all sorts of T-shirts and Danzig merch, and
I can't see it.
Signed photo like this.
So cool.
It's a fucking bleeding Nigel, the nefarious one.
Must have really made an impression on Glenn.
And then the other thing about being friends with Martin and Simon was things like this. The original sketch for what was meant to be the Violent World tribute album cover.
Get out of here.
But the record company didn't like it.
Wow.
Even after the final piece of artwork.
That's like those must be the stillborn monster babies, I'm guessing.
A lot less syringes and stuff.
I can't see the syringes in the photo. Maybe this will be clearer to see in the video. There's a 2-minute video after this video is done that Nigel sent thoughtfully, detailing maybe that other stuff.
And Glenn wasn't impressed with that, so he ended up releasing it, as he did on stickers and
gotcha,
flags and posters and stuff. But
I didn't realize that Glenn was involved with the Violet World compilation.
Babies. This is the original of the
cool.
Well, the pencil work.
Yeah. Whoa.
You should recognize this.
I do recognize that, but I can't see it so well, Nigel. I'm so sorry.
Satan's Child, the Martin Emmond edition.
Right.
This is.
I've seen that cover. That's not. There's the Bisley cover, and then there's this cover.
A sketch that he sent Danzig by way of fax machine. So he'd draw up the basic idea, and then the information that is conveying, and whack it in the fax, and then when it came out, he gave it to me.
Cool.
If you want to know what it says up the top, hey kids, here is the drawing of the Danzig girl. I just want to make sure you like the pose, etc. I think this painting should look pretty cool. Black background, of course, maybe textured or slightly off black floor. I want to give her snakeskin legs. Not
Mm.
quite trousers, but very similar.
Hmm.
Pierced toenails like you talked about in Tokyo. Give me a call soon. Kisses, fuckface. That was from the legendary Martin Buckingham to Glenn Danzig on this Satan's Child alternate cover art.
It's very cool, man. Thank you for sharing all this stuff, Nigel. This is so cool. This is really special.
So, over the years, uh, they stopped working for Glenn,
Right.
and we all lost touch with Glenn, and that's just life. But
Yeah.
he gave me one very cool fan experience.
Oh my God, yes.
And, it seemed pretty weird trying to tell you about it to a camera.
You did a great job, dude.
Having no interaction to bounce this off.
No, oh my God, no.
I feel like I've left out a lot of important information.
I don't think so.
That's the basic experience of.
Oh my God, dude, you told.
Hanging out with GD.
Dude, would I have gotten more out of you had you actually been on the show? Probably. We probably would have, talked more stuff, fanned out about more stuff and whatnot. But you, for the considering the circumstances and considering the headaches that we were dealing with, you did such a good job. Everybody, round of applause for Nigel doing that. I don't think Nigel's ever done, told a story like that to his cell phone before. And you did a great job. You did a good job. Now we have one other video here to look at, and then we'll wrap things up. We have one other thing to take a look at. It's a secondary video that Nigel sent. And I guess because the first video, hold on. I got to stop sharing the screen, share that, Chrome tab, Nigel Toxic 2. There we go. Okay. We're back. So now here's Nigel with GD, and I guess maybe we're gonna get some more commentary. Let's find out what's in these 2.5 minutes. That didn't work. Let's try it again. Well, let me make this bigger. Make me smaller. Wow. That's a set list. Oh. Killer. That's like the most killerest set list ever for a Danzig show. Great set list. That is a set, dude. Yeah. Doing Misfit songs. Look at them. Look at that. Amazing. Woohoo! Yeah, buddy. Look how pumped you are, Nigel. Thrasher. Oh, no. He's about to tell us another story, but Nigel's upside down. All right, wait. Let's rewind it. Ready? Amazing. We got Danzig. Long live the horror. Long live the horror. Cool, man. Very cool. We got a few comments here. Parma says, horror story, record a great album with a friend of mine, Chori Von Creeper on drums from Argentina. Great musicians of the genre. Okay, I'll check them out. I'll check out Horror Story. Yes, we know that Nigel was still upside down. There's no sound from the second video at all. Wait, are you telling me you didn't friggin' hear the sound? Hold on a second. Can someone please confirm that no sound came out from the second video? You got to be kidding me. I don't want to play that again. Well, I will if I have to. I just don't want to repeat the same thing over. Hold on. Ah, you're bumming me out right now. Let's hear it. I'm going to check. You can't be.
From the second video? You got to be kidding me. I don't want to play that again.
I want to give her snakeskin legs. Not quite
Oh.
We got Danzig.
Oh. Boo. I have to show it. Oh my goodness. Now I have to show it again. Ugh. Okay. Hey, it is what it is, man. We got to hear what he was saying. Hold on. Let me do this again. Let's do this one more time. Stop screen, share, go in here, Chrome tab, Nigel Von Toxic, boom. There we go. Let's try it again. He says, when Nigel was upside down, there was no sound. Okay, so I'm skipping to that part. There's Nigel upside down. Let's try it again, okay? There should be sound now. Parmy, I want you to tell me if there's no sound. Boy, Nigel, even when you pre-record your stuff, we still got problems. Buddy, it's all that horror music you play, Nigel. It's cursed you. Hold on. Parmy, tell me what's going on. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Can you hear? Can you hear that? Parmy, please confirm. Do you copy? Parmy. Parmy. Parmigiana Cryptosa. Parm. Someone who is watching right now, please confirm. Please subscribe to my channel. Please like this video. Please leave comments. Come on. Before I continue, let me know that we are good to go. So that way. Oh, what a cool story, man. Jeez Louise. What a fantastic tale. Nigel, you did a great job. You still hear nothing. Jason, okay. You don't hear. Jason Devilock hears nothing. No sound. What about now? Ready? Hold on. What about right now? This mother effer's talking right now. Parmy's got an Italian family. That's perfect, Parmy. Do you hear him now? Yes? No? You guys hear? Can anybody hear? Still no sound. All right. Don't worry. I got this. I got this, you guys. Here. This is not ideal, but we're going to do it. Hold on. One more second. Yeah. Now there's going to be sound.
What ended up happening on the second night after we went backstage was that we all met Danzig back at the hotel that they were staying at, and they had hired out a private bar there, and the band put on like free beer and wine, and at some point Glenn decided that, you know, he'd get the party started, and he shouted some bottles of tequila for everyone. The second night, what ended up happening on the second night after we went backstage was that we all met Danzig back at the hotel.
Now you should be able to hear it.
That they were staying at, and they had hired out a private bar there, and the band put on like free beer and wine, and at some point Glenn decided that, you know, he'd get the party started, and he shouted some bottles of tequila for everyone, and we got to drink and shoot the shit some more, and just, you know, hang out, and you know, and then he said goodnight to everyone, and he went to bed, and you know, he's a cool fucking guy. You know, forget Hugh Hefner. We got Danzig.
I like that.
Okay. Long live the horror.
Long live the horror. Good. Okay, so that is my microphone came off. Welcome to The Price is Right. My name is Jeff, Screamin' Jeff, and we have a fantastic ghoulish show for you today. So, who would like to answer some trivia? What should we start with, Johnny? Okay, in the song, Bullet, what is Glenn want Jackie O to do? Tick tock, the clock is ticking. Guys, this was a very fun show. I really enjoyed this. A special thank you to Nigel for taking the time to record this, for being such a good sport about not being able to get on the show. The next time we do an audience episode, Nigel, if you're able to, you are more than welcome to join us anytime live on the air. What Nigel says about like possibly leaving stuff out, maybe, but I don't think so, man. I think he did a really good job. I think that I might have, you know, taken the questioning at different places, but it still worked. Lastly, very last thing I want to say, coming up on Pizza Punk, a Glenn Danzig related guest. I don't want to say what related kind of guest because then it will ruin the surprise. I have a surprise guest who is going to really, really just knock everybody's socks off. I mean, just a very interesting guest. We had a 2-hour conversation, illuminating in some areas. It was great to talk with him again. And we had, we chatted all things Glenn Danzig and amongst other things. And he was part of the inner circle in so many ways, from printing shirts to he saw recording process. He saw tours. He saw lots of stuff. Let's just put it that way. But I'm going to keep it buried. It's going to be a surprise. This is Pizza Punk, but it's also the EVILIVE show. So it's kind of like going to be like a crossover episode that sort of combines the two. But since it's on the same channel, I might just leave it as one video. There's no point in splitting the 2-hour conversation. I'm going to leave it as is. Keep your eyes peeled for that. Again, if you have not done so yet, please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways you can support the creation of the content of this channel. I love doing these videos. When you support the creation of the content, it allows me to continue on, press on. So please help with that. And that's all I got. I am exhausted. This is my second podcast. Like I said, if you like Scream, check out that other one I did earlier today. Remember, we are 138. and Dead Daughter in the River, Entrance Game by Her Liver, and this isn't really sex, this isn't